There is a moment you remember. Maybe you have tried to forget it. Maybe you have buried it beneath excuses and explanations. But it is still there, sitting quietly in the back of your mind. That moment when someone said something, did something, and something inside you cracked. Not visibly, not loudly, but you felt it. That hollow feeling, that strange, suffocating helplessness. That quiet humiliation that only you knew was happening because on the outside, you were still smiling, still nodding, still pretending that nothing had reached you. But it had. And the worst part, the part no one ever talks about, is that it was not the first time. It had happened before. It would happen again. Because the same invisible wound that broke you in that moment had been breaking you your entire life, quietly, consistently, without a single warning. You have been emotionally vulnerable your entire life, and you never even knew it. No one told you, no one warned you. No one sat you down and explained that every time you react, every time you defend yourself when you did not need to, every time you justify your choices to someone who was never going to listen, every time you allow a single comment to live inside your head for days, you are giving something away. Something irreplaceable. Something that cannot be bought, borrowed, or reclaimed once it is gone. Your power. Think about the last time someone challenged you in front of others. You responded. You explained yourself. You thought you were defending your position. But what you were actually doing was handing them exactly what they wanted: your reaction, your emotion, your visible vulnerability. Think about the last time someone ignored you and you spent hours trying to figure out why, replaying the situation, analyzing their behavior, circling their actions with your attention like a moth circling a flame. You gave them your entire mental presence and they gave you nothing in return. Think about the last time someone criticized you and that criticism lived in your mind for days, weeks, long after they had forgotten they ever said it. This is the silent erosion. This is the invisible loss. Most people will live their entire lives inside this cycle. React, regret, repeat. They will never understand why they always feel drained, why certain people always seem to hold power over them, why they constantly feel like they are one step behind, no matter how hard they try. They will never discover the truth. But tonight you will. Because what you are about to learn is not motivation. It is not positivity. It is not empty advice dressed in powerful language. What you are about to learn is a philosophy, ancient, proven, ruthlessly effective. A philosophy that separated those who held power from those who lost it across centuries, across civilizations, across every arena of human competition. And it begins with a single, devastating realization. You have been giving away your most valuable possession your entire life, and you never even knew it had a name. Tonight that changes. There is something you possess that is more valuable than money, more powerful than status, more dangerous in the wrong hands than any weapon ever forged. It is not your intelligence. It is not your talent. It is not your reputation or your network or your skill. It is your attention. And you have been giving it away for free every single day, to people who never earned it, to situations that never deserved it, to moments that will never return anything of value. Think about yesterday. Truly think about it. How many people received your attention without asking for it? How many situations occupied your mind that had no right to be there? How many comments, how many opinions, how many small provocations pulled your focus away from what actually mattered and toward what someone else wanted you to think about? Your attention went there. Your energy followed. Your presence, your most sacred resource, was spent. And you were not paid for it. Attention is currency, the most powerful currency that exists in human interaction. And like all currency, it loses value when it is distributed carelessly. It becomes worthless when it is given to everyone equally. But when it is rationed, when it is selective, when people must earn it, it becomes extraordinary. Think about the most powerful people you have ever encountered. Not the loudest, not the most aggressive, the most powerful. There was something about them that was different. Something you could not quite name. They did not seem to need the room's approval. They did not chase conversation. They did not fill every silence with words. They chose what they engaged with and what they did not. And because of that choice, their presence carried weight. When you give your attention to everything, it means nothing. When you give it to almost nothing, it means everything. Most people understand this on a financial level. You would not hand a stranger your wallet and walk away. You would not empty your bank account to prove you are generous. You protect your money because you understand its value. Your attention is worth more than your money, and yet you treat it like it is worthless. You spend it on people who diminish you, on arguments that resolve nothing, on judgments from individuals whose own lives are in disorder, on situations that will be forgotten within a week. And at the end of each day, you wonder why you feel empty, why you feel exhausted, why nothing feels like enough. This is why. The moment you begin treating your attention as the rarest, most precious thing you own, everything shifts. The moment you decide that not everyone deserves it, not every situation merits it, not every provocation earns it, you stop being someone who is moved by the world. You become someone the world tries to move. And there is a profound difference between those two identities. One is a life lived reacting. The other is a life lived ruling. More than 500 years ago, a man sat in exile and wrote the most dangerous book ever committed to paper. His name was Niccolò Machiavelli. He was not a ruler. He was an observer, a student of power, so precise, so unflinching, so ruthlessly honest that his name became synonymous with the darker truths of human nature. He had served. He had watched. He had seen princes rise with armies and fall with a single moment of emotional weakness. He had watched rulers who commanded thousands broken by the opinion of one. He had watched men of great intelligence destroyed by their inability to control what they felt. And in that observation, he found a pattern, ancient, repeating, invisible to most but devastatingly clear once understood. The most powerful individuals were never the most emotional. They were the most controlled. In The Prince, Machiavelli did not simply teach strategy. He taught the architecture of internal mastery. He understood that an army could be defeated by a rival force, but a ruler could be defeated by his own reaction. That the greatest threat to any powerful person was not an external enemy. It was the enemy within. The ruler, who allowed praise to swell his confidence beyond reason, became arrogant, predictable, and vulnerable. The ruler, who allowed criticism to fracture his composure, telegraphed his weakness to every observer in the room. The ruler, who needed the approval of others to feel secure in his decisions, had already surrendered the most important throne, the throne of his own mind. Machiavelli watched this pattern destroy dynasty after dynasty. Capable men, intelligent men, men with resources and armies and advantages undone, not by their enemy's strength, but by their own emotional exposure. And he watched the opposite as well. He watched rulers who seemed almost inhuman in their stillness, who absorbed insult without visible wound, who received betrayal with the same composure as they received loyalty, who moved through chaos as though they existed in a separate, calmer reality than everyone around them. These men were not without feeling. Machiavelli never claimed that. They had simply made a decision that no external force would be permitted to govern their internal state. And because of that decision, others could not read them, could not predict them, could not manipulate them, could not find the lever that would make them react on command. They had become untouchable. 500 years have passed since Machiavelli wrote those words. Empires have risen and collapsed. Technology has transformed the world beyond recognition. The weapons of war have changed completely. But human psychology has not changed at all. The same tactics that were used to destabilize rulers in the 15th century are being used on you today, by colleagues, by competitors, by people in your personal life who have learned consciously or unconsciously that your emotional reaction is the lever they need. Every provocation is a test. Every attempt to make you react is a power grab. And every time you react without choosing to, you fail that test, and you hand that power away. Machiavelli knew this. The greatest rulers knew this. And now you know this. Let us be precise about what emotional invincibility actually means. Because most people misunderstand it entirely. They believe that becoming emotionally untouchable means becoming cold, disconnected, robotic. They imagine a person who feels nothing, who moves through the world like a stone, unmoved and unaffected by everything around them. That is not power, that is numbness. And numbness is its own kind of weakness. Emotional invincibility is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of choice. The difference between the powerful and the powerless in any given moment is not whether they feel something. It is whether that feeling is permitted to dictate their behavior without consent. An emotionally reactive person experiences a feeling and immediately, automatically, without deliberation acts on it. They are offended and they respond in offense. They are provoked and they react in provocation. They are threatened and they show their fear. The feeling arrives and within seconds it has already become action. They are not living. They are being lived by their own unexamined emotional responses. An emotionally masterful person experiences the same feeling, the same offense, the same provocation, the same threat. But between the feeling and the response, there is something that most people never develop. A pausa, a moment of sovereignty, a split second in which they look at the emotion, observe it, understand it, and then choose what to do with it. Sometimes the choice is to respond, but it is always a choice. And that distinction between reaction and chosen response is the entire foundation of power. Power is quiet. Power is selective. Power is controlled. Power does not announce itself. It does not need the room to know it has arrived. It does not require external validation to feel certain of itself. It does not chase recognition, approval, or the last word in any argument. Power simply exists, steady, patient, immovable. The most powerful person in any room is almost never the one talking the most. It is almost never the one performing the most confidence, projecting the most aggression, or demanding the most attention. It is the one who seems to need nothing from the room at all. That quality, that self-contained stillness, is not natural for most people. It is not something they were born with. It is something that was either deliberately cultivated or lost entirely through years of unchecked reactivity. But it can be reclaimed. It begins with understanding what you have been doing wrong, and it deepens with every single moment that you choose stillness over reaction. Every time someone provokes you and you do not react. Every time someone attempts to destabilize you and you remain composed. Every time the old version of you would have responded impulsively and instead you simply observe. Each of those moments is a deposit. And one day, the account becomes unbreakable. When you become emotionally untouchable, something extraordinary happens inside the minds of the people around you. Something they do not expect. Something they cannot control. They become uncertain. The human mind is built on patterns. It expects consistency. It anticipates predictability. It has built an entire model of who you are based on how you have responded in the past. It knows which words will affect you. It knows which situations will destabilize you. It knows or believed it knew exactly how to move you. And then you stop moving, and the model breaks. When you stop reacting in the way that was expected when the provocation lands and nothing visible happens, the other person's brain enters a state of confusion. It begins searching for an explanation. It begins questioning its own approach. Did that not reach them? Why did that not reach them? What are they thinking? What do they know that I do not? This confusion is not neutral. It creates anxiety. It creates a strange, involuntary obsession. Because the human mind does not let go of unresolved patterns easily. It circles them. It returns to them. It keeps trying to solve them. You become the unsolved equation. And unsolved equations are never forgotten. This is the mechanism Machiavelli observed in the most feared rulers of his time. It was not their armies that made people hesitant. It was their stillness, their unreadability, their refusal to be emotionally mapped. When you cannot predict how someone will respond, you cannot effectively manipulate them. When you cannot find their emotional leverage point, you cannot move them against their will. When you cannot make them react, you have lost your primary tool of influence over them. And people who lose their tools do not simply give up. They escalate. The provocateur becomes louder. The manipulator becomes more aggressive. The person who was used to your emotional availability suddenly becomes desperate for it. They will push harder, try different angles, become more theatrical in their attempts. And all of that effort, all of that escalation is proof that your stillness is working. Because when someone escalates in the face of your calm, they are not winning. They are panicking. They are revealing the depth of their dependence on your reaction. They are showing you every card in their hand. And you simply watch. This is the dark psychology of emotional invincibility. It does not just protect you, it reverses the entire power dynamic. It takes the person who intended to destabilize you and makes them destabilize themselves simply by giving them nothing to work with. You do not have to fight to win. You simply have to refuse to be moved. This is where philosophy becomes practice. This is where understanding transforms into behavior, where behavior becomes identity. You stop doing the following permanently. You stop responding to every provocation as though it deserves your energy. You stop defending yourself to people who have already decided their position. You stop explaining your choices to individuals who were never going to respect them. You stop making yourself emotionally available to situations that drain you without return. You stop allowing other people's chaos to become your chaos. And you start doing the following deliberately. You start pausing before every response, not because you do not know what to say, but because you are choosing whether to say anything at all. That pause is not hesitation. That pause is power. You start observing instead of absorbing. When someone brings drama, conflict, or emotional turbulence into your space, you watch it without becoming part of it. You are present, but you are not consumed. You start becoming selectively unavailable. Not every call needs to be answered immediately. Not every message demands an instant response. Not every invitation requires your attendance. Your presence should feel like a privilege because it is. You start using silence as a strategic instrument. In conversation, in conflict, in negotiation, silence is one of the most powerful responses available to you. Most people are terrified of silence. They will fill it. They will over-explain. They will reveal more than they intended. Let them. You start disengaging from the need to be understood by everyone. Not everyone is entitled to your inner world. Not everyone has earned access to your reasoning, your feelings, your process. Be selectively transparent. And with most people, be a closed book. These are not tricks. They are not manipulations. They are disciplines. And like all disciplines, they feel uncomfortable at first. They go against the instincts that have been conditioned into you over years of reactive living. Your ego will resist. Your habits will resist. Your old identity will resist. But every time you choose these behaviors over your old patterns, you become someone different, someone stronger, someone that the world cannot easily move. You must understand something clearly. This transformation will not go unnoticed, and not everyone will welcome it. There are specific types of people who depend, whether consciously or not, on your emotional reactivity. And when you remove it, they will not quietly accept the change. The first enemy, the provocateur. This is the individual whose sense of power comes directly from your reaction. When you were reactive, they felt in control. Every time they could make you angry, defensive, or visibly affected, they confirmed to themselves that they had power over you. Your emotional response was their oxygen. Remove it, and they begin to suffocate. They will escalate. They will become more aggressive, more provocative, more theatrical. Not because they are winning, but because they are losing, and they know it. Every escalation is a sign of their desperation, not their strength. Do not give them what they need. Not once, not even partially. The second enemy, the energy drainer. This is the person who exists in a permanent state of crisis. Every conversation is a catastrophe. Every situation is an emergency. Every interaction leaves you depleted. These individuals are not malicious, but they are dangerous. Because they consume without contributing. They borrow emotional energy and never return it. Recognizing them is not cruelty. Protecting yourself from them is not selfishness. It is survival. The third enemy, the internal critic. This is the most dangerous adversary of all, and it lives inside you. It is the voice that says, "Just this once, respond." The part of you that cannot bear to let something go unanswered. The part that craves the last word, the clean explanation, the vindication of being understood. This voice will sound reasonable. It will offer justifications. It will tell you that staying silent is the same as surrendering. It is lying. Silence is not surrender. Stillness is not weakness. Restraint is not defeat. The moment you understand that the internal critic loses its power over you, and that is when the real transformation accelerates. Your emotions will resist this transformation. They were never trained to be still. They were trained by years of conditioning, by culture, by the people around you to express, to react, to respond immediately. Every impulse toward silence feels unnatural. Every moment of restraint feels like suppression. But discipline and suppression are not the same thing. Suppression means burying emotions, pretending they do not exist, pushing them beneath the surface where they accumulate pressure until they explode at the worst possible moment, in the most uncontrollable way. Discipline means something entirely different. Discipline means feeling the emotion, fully acknowledging its presence, and then making a conscious decision about what to do with it. It means being the observer of your internal state, rather than being blindly carried by it. This is a skill, not a personality trait, not a genetic gift, a skill like any other that is developed through repetition, through awareness, through deliberate practice. Begin here, today, in this moment. The next time a strong emotion arrives, before you act on it, name it. Silently, internally. I am feeling anger right now. I am feeling hurt right now. I am feeling fear right now. This single act, naming the emotion, creates distance between you and the feeling. You are no longer inside the emotion, you are observing it, and what can be observed can be managed. From that observation, ask one question. Does responding to this serve my power or diminish it? Not whether it feels satisfying, not whether it feels justified, not whether you deserve to react. Does it serve your power? If the answer is no, you stay still. This is not a natural response for most people. It requires practice. It requires failure. There will be moments when the emotion wins, when the reaction escapes before the discipline can catch it. That is not defeat. That is the process. Every time you successfully pause, every time you choose observation over reaction, the skill deepens, the muscle strengthens, the space between stimulus and response grows wider, and in that widening space, that is where your power lives. You are not the same person who began watching this. Something has shifted. You can feel it, perhaps not fully yet, perhaps not completely, but it is there. A new awareness, a different relationship with the thoughts and emotions that move through you. A new understanding of what has been happening around you and what your role in it has been. You are beginning to see what most people will never see. You see the provocations for what they are not, personal attacks, but power grabs, attempts to access the lever that used to move you. You see the drama for what it is, not reality, but theater, performed for an audience that is meant to react. You see the manipulation for what it is, not strength, but the desperate strategy of someone who has no other tools. And you see yourself differently. You are not someone who is defined by how others treat you. You are not someone whose inner state is determined by the chaos of the world outside you. You are not someone who can be destabilized by a comment, a look, an opinion, or a silence. You are something rarer. You are someone who observes without being consumed, who feels without being governed, who is present without being available to be moved against your will. This is the identity that Machiavelli wrote about. This is the quality he observed in the rulers who endured not just in moments of triumph, but in moments of loss, betrayal, crisis, and chaos. They remained themselves, unaltered by circumstance, unbroken by opinion, untouched by the emotional storms that destroyed everyone around them. That is who you are becoming. Not because you have suppressed your humanity, but because you have finally taken command of it. And the world, the people in it, the situations it presents, the tests it offers, will begin to respond to you differently. Because you are different. Fundamentally, quietly, powerfully different. You have become someone that the world cannot simply move. From this moment forward, everything changes. Not loudly, not with announcement, not with performance. Quietly, like all true power operates. You no longer react impulsively. You act strategically when you choose to act at all. You no longer give your attention freely to those who have not earned it. You no longer allow the emotions of others to become the weather inside your mind. You no longer need the last word, the final explanation, the external validation that you were right. You protect your attention because you now understand it is your most valuable currency. You protect your silence because you now understand it is your most powerful response. You protect your composure because you now understand it is the foundation upon which all genuine authority is built. This is what Machiavelli understood, watching rulers rise and fall across the landscape of 15th century Italy. This is what every truly powerful individual in history has understood, in palaces, in boardrooms, in arenas of competition that stretch back to the beginning of recorded human civilization. The person who cannot be emotionally moved cannot be controlled. And the person who cannot be controlled holds a kind of power that no external force can take from them, because it is not located in their title, not in their wealth, not in their connections or their reputation or their physical strength. It is located in the one place that no one else can reach unless you open the door and invite them in. Your mind. Guard it, train it, master it, because the world will not stop testing it. The provocations will continue. The manipulations will continue. The chaos will continue. But now you are ready. You understand what most people will spend their entire lives never understanding. You have been shown a truth that was available to you all along, but that required this moment, this decision, this commitment to finally become real. Do not waste it. Do not return to the old patterns. Do not let the comfort of familiarity pull you back into reactivity. Do not let the internal critic convince you that one reaction does not matter. Every reaction matters. Every moment of stillness matters. Every choice to protect your power matters. This is not a destination. This is a practice. A daily, deliberate, lifelong practice of choosing who you are going to be, in spite of what the world tries to make you. Machiavelli knew it. The great rulers of history knew it. And now, so do you. If you understand what was said here tonight, if something in this reached you, prove it. Comment one thing below. I am in control. Those 3 words are not just a comment. They are a declaration, a commitment, a line drawn between the person you were and the person you are choosing to become. And if you want more lessons in power, psychology, discipline, and the ruthless architecture of a controlled mind, subscribe.